misleading, and sometimes even dangerous. Now, I have 5 common statements about cancer, and even with the time constraints, I'm hoping that this session will be an interactive one, and therefore I'll encourage your participation if possible, please. Thank you. Hopefully, in your packs, you would all have 2 cards, a pink card and a yellow card. It would be in the packs that you were given. If you could have this to hand, please.
Put your hand inside first.
Yeah? We ready? Okay. What I'd like us to do is, once I put a statement on the slide, one of these 5 statements, I'd like you to raise your yellow card if you think the statement is true, and a pink card if you think the statement isn't true. Okay, so yellow for true, and I'll remind you again, and pink if it isn't. Now, if time permits, I'd like 1 or 2 people to share their thoughts on the choices that they've made for all the statements. So the first statement is, cancer is contagious. Now, if anybody thinks cancer is contagious, put your, if you think cancer is contagious, put your yellow card up. And if you don't think it is, then you put your pink. Okay. Got quite a lot of pink. I don't think I can see a yellow.
There's a yellow top.
No yellow card.
Oh, yellow top.
Is that a yellow card, Zainab? Okay, it's a pink card. Thanks. Move on to the next one, please. Cancer is not contagious. That's a fact, and I think we all know that. Having said that, some people do think that cancer is contagious. Cancer isn't contagious, but some viruses and bacteria that can spread from one person to another can increase the risk of developing cancer. By the way, contagious means you can catch them from somebody. It can be passed from one person to the other. Like the coronavirus now is a contagious virus. That's what we mean by that. Mm-hmm. Now, somebody did mention the viruses, like the human papilloma virus, which is a sexually transmitted virus, can increase the risk of some cancers, like cervical, as our dear friend mentioned earlier, and also anal and some type of head and neck cancers. Another virus or viruses that can lead to or increase the risk of cancer are hepatitis A and hepatitis C viruses. Now, these are also sexually transmitted viruses, although, I mean, for drug users, it can be transmitted via infected needles. Another bacteria that can increase the risk of lung cancer is called H. pylori, and that can increase your risk of stomach cancer. Now, the distinction here is that the cancer itself is not contagious, so you're not going to catch cancer from person. I mean, I've been in situations where even with a lung cancer patient, somebody didn't sit next to them because they were scared of them, catching cancer from their cough. That doesn't happen. Like I say, the advice here mainly is to take the necessary precautions for avoid the sexually transmitted infection. So using protections, limiting sexual partners, and that's what's important. Okay. Now the second the second statement is, it is easier to remain unaware you have cancer. So people then say, if I get cancer, I better learn you, because then it will kill me. Now, so again, if you think that statement is correct, can you put your yellow card up? And if you think it's wrong, the pink card, please. Okay. So yellow if you think that statement is correct. Okay. I see a yellow card that I mean, I don't know if you mind. Would you like to expand? No, that's fine. That's okay. You don't have to. It would be nice to. I mean, we're not judging, or I just wanted to know what your thoughts were. That you said it would be easier to remain unaware. No, can't encourage you. Anybody?
Yeah. There's a speaker.
Okay, yeah.
There's a yellow card there. Right, keyboard, there's a yellow card there. You stay. Don't worry. We'll take the mic. Yeah. Yeah. Why?
You know, education also affects the knowledge of cancer. If we think of people in the village, let's talk about places like Sierra Leone. This is why all these years, cancer have been here for years, but people don't know because they lack the education. So because of that, they will have it, but they don't know. If we remember when in villages, people who have breast cancer, they say, oh, it's just boiled. They have their name, there's a little name they called it. They use these leaves and just rub them in their breast. This is ignorance of the disease, that's why. So because they don't know, they're not aware of it.
Yes. I agree that obviously ignorance has a part to play, and which is why, you know, these sessions are, you know, important so that we can inform. And it's not only in the villages that people have this mentality. So I think it is a good platform. I mean, the question I'm asking is it easier to women? So in other words, are you masking or not acknowledging symptoms because you're scared of you know, what the diagnosis might be? So people say it's easier, I'd rather ignore it. That's what this is about. Yeah.
Hello, I say 100.
1 second.
It's not, my understanding of the question is you can have cancer and not aware of that it's existing. It's on the basis of that, I think, that could be the case.
Okay, it's an ambiguous statement.
Well, they say understand and misunderstand, so I don't know.
Okay, just to clarify, is, you know, like when people say, I'd rather not know that I have an illness. Same with something like HIV.
Like
or,
denial.
Yes, so it is the same with cancer. People say, I'd rather not know that, you know, I have cancer, because then denying it won't be real. So that's the statement.
You're trying to say, wait till you know, not kill you.
No, they kill you, exactly. That's right. But I mean, a lot of people, I think there's somebody here that wants to. Excuse me. No, somebody here. I think somebody here.
There's a lady in the head tie.
What my understanding is, people don't want to know because of the stigma of the disease, the cancer. The name cancer, if you said you have cancer, oh, I'm going to die. The thought of it is like, I don't want to know if I'm going to die, let me die. Yeah, it's like they give up easily because of the stigma around it and the outcome around that.
Yes, stigma in cancer is, you know, a very real thing, and I think there's a session later on cultural, you know, something cultural, you know, that will be discussed later. But you are right. But what I'd say to that, I mean, culture is culture. You are a person. You can make decisions for yourself. If you'd rather die than, you know, accept that you have an illness that could be treated, then that's a personal choice for you. I mean, in my view, that would be a silly choice, but everybody has a choice. Okay, this is why, like I said, we're doing these sessions so that people can, you know, have the confidence to be able to deal with, you know, a mentality like that. It is, I mean, having cancer is a frightening situation to be in, you know. And the only thing is you should not ignore the signs and symptoms. It's not going to go away. Cancer will get worse if not treated. That is a fact. So you're not admitting it, you're not accepting it, you're not doing yourself any favors. If you are aware, as we've been saying, and I reiterate it, you can act on it quickly. And that has the potential to save your life, give you the best possible care. So the earlier the awareness, the earlier the diagnosis, and the better the outcome for treatment and the chances of survival. It's a fact. You know.
Well done.
So the next one that people say is, if you're diagnosed with cancer, you will die. Now, if you believe that statement to be true, put your yellow card up, and if not, pink. Okay.
Both?
Okay, yeah, some people are doing both, and I can see why. Interestingly, we've got a yellow here. Can I just, are you able to expand on your choice of that, please?
Give it 8 out of 10, you will die.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's quite a strong statistic. Sorry, excuse me. This lady wants to say something.
I think it depends on the intervention. If you have an early intervention, and it depends how severe the cancer is in your system. If it's spread and it's all over your system, it's difficult. You're going to die. But if you have an early intervention, I don't think you will die.
Thank you. There's somebody there that has 2 cards up. That would be interesting to hear from you.
Yeah, my perception is if you diagnose of cancer, it depends on the stage the cancer is. Because if it's very much advanced, definitely there's not much we can do. But maybe if it's diagnosed earlier and you have treatment for that, it might save your life.
Okay, thank you. I think this is generating a lot of discussion. There's Charmaine over there, who's my colleague as well. You don't want to mess around with Charmaine.
She ordered the tea boy.
Okay, so yes, we do believe in early diagnosis, but in breast, and I can only discuss about breast, okay? Because breast is best. But in breast, and I've been doing this since the 90s, we have patients who have breast cancer and it comes back, okay? It depends where it is and how much is involved. I have a patient who has had it in her lung and her bones for 20 years. Yes. So do not tell me that once it's spread, you die.
That's right.
Okay?
Yes.
It does depend on the amount. And I do take what you say about the staging. If it comes, I've got patients who come, they've had this lung for 5 years, for 5 years. And they wonder why it's spread everywhere. And if that happens, yes, it can happen. But there is, even in the charities, metastatic disease, which is when it spreads, okay? People are living longer with that disease because we have treatment. And so they don't want to be called metastatic disease anymore. They want to be called surviving with cancer. It is now becoming like diabetes. It's becoming like hypertension. You can live with secondary disease and still keep going. Thank you.
Thank you, Charmaine. And just to follow that, my slide, please.
Yeah.
So the fact is, a cancer diagnosis is not an automatic death sentence. Now, cancer survival, as Charmaine has said, is improving. In fact, in the United Kingdom, in the last 40 years, it has doubled, which means more people are surviving cancer than previously. Now, the latest statistics show, and this is where I say it's very interesting, some of you have the yellow and pink cards together, that 50% of people diagnosed with cancer in England survive their disease for 10 years or more. Now, obviously, we've been saying the earlier the diagnosis, the earlier the chance of surviving it. In England, in 2015, there were 2.5 million people living with cancer in the UK, actually, not England. And that's expected to rise to about 4 million by 2020, this year. So about 4 million people. If you take the population of Sierra Leone, it's probably, more than half the population of Sierra Leone that would be living with cancer. With cancer. Now, mainly because of improvements in research, diagnosis, and prevention and treatment. That's not to say, it's a good picture. There is still a lot of work to be done. So it isn't a death sentence, but the battle continues. In that respect also, I would encourage people, we all want cures, we all want things to get better, but not many of us want to participate in research, especially us as black people, but we want the cures. So that might be another area that you could look at yourself and think, what can I do to help us and to change this figure? Okay? The next one is chemotherapy will kill you. Again, yellow if you think that's true. Yellow if you think it's true. And pink if you don't.
Come on.
Oh.
Encourage them. They're not
Okay.
lifting it up. They need to
That's
encourage
fine.
them. Encourage them.
This is interesting.
Encourage them.
Have we got a yellow? There's a yellow that thinks chemotherapy will kill you. Would you like to expand on it? Please.
Well, a few months ago, we lost a very close friend to cancer. He was looking very, very well, healthy and stuff. And based on the knowledge, this is why it's very important for we to have this space where we can learn, especially from professionals, frontline professionals like yourselves, who are championing it and working, living, working every day with people who are living with this condition. But yeah, up till now, where I'm sitting, I've got that belief that the chemo can kill you faster. So I am very happy to be here, and I'm happy to learn, because we are learning. It's not my field. Because we see most of the time people can live with cancer, but the moment they break the news to them, they begin to deteriorate drastically. So it's just, there's so many misconceptions out there, but it's just in our head. It's the way we think sometimes. So it's very important. I just want to encourage everyone and encourage Isatta to continue the show. It's very, very important. That's all I can say for now. But up to now, where I'm sitting, I still believe that is so.
I think there was somebody else that wanted to add to that. That's a very interesting take, and thank you for that.
Which one?
I'm not sure. What did you do? What did you?
I put up.
Do you believe that chemotherapy will kill you?
Actually, no, because I've had chemotherapy twice.
Okay.
But it weakens you.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the resilience to manage through that weakness, or you're going through chemotherapy now and you come in line with coronavirus, you're going. So it is about your immune system.
True.
And chemotherapy can kill, but it is the known therapy that we have today that can heal. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, well done.
Anybody else before there's one gentleman?
Sorry, Mr. Hafiz.
And then we'll look at the facts.
He's going in the middle.
I've got a say yes and a no, but it all depends to the individual. If your immune system cannot take the chemo, then definitely you go in. Sometimes, there are times when there are people who have survived, like our sister just mentioned, because they can stand it. And the other thing is, it depends to the administrators, like the nursing. For example, here in England, yes, there's a likelihood that there's not that of a great percentage for chemo to kill. But if we think of people like back home, where just breaking the news to you has killed you already. Because the next thing you know, where am I going to get treatment? You understand? And people will start giving, some will give you the stigma and all those things. That help. If you decide to, I've seen patients from Sierra Leone who have been sent to Ghana, India, came back and died. Some people sold all their property just to have treatment. They went and they didn't survive it. So these are the things. So that's why I said yes, it does kill. Then if your immune system is good, then it can't kill you.
Thank you. I mean, the challenge I'll throw to you is, people's experience are people's experience, okay? But the challenge is, there could be numerous reasons why that person died, but we look at the treatment that was given. The cancer itself can kill you. So whether or not you're on chemotherapy, radiotherapy, surgery, if the cancer, can kill you. Chemotherapy can cause serious side effects and unpleasant effects, as Samilia has said. It's not a walk in the park. Nobody's saying that. Having said that, research has come a long way so that the drugs we have now, are much better tolerated. It's not to say there isn't any side effects, it's just we manage them better. Now, without being flippant, most medications, or treatment has a potential cause for death. Your common paracetamol that you take, if taken wrongly or if taken, as an overdose, can kill. There is no treatment that is risk-free. None. Surgery, radiotherapy, chemotherapy, whatever. I mean, it is true to say that people, of course, can die while they're having chemotherapy. But is it the chemotherapy that killed that person? These are things that we, in the healthcare professional, we do investigations when somebody is on chemotherapy and they die to try to find out what the reason is, and we learn from it. Because there is a whole load of factors that can affect you dying when you're on chemotherapy. As you've said, the person's health or performance status. Okay, the person's age, reaction to the drugs. There are lots of things. So it is not to say chemotherapy may or can contribute to death, but it is not strictly true to say it causes death. Otherwise, the doctors would not be giving it to you. The doctors would not be prescribing chemotherapy if it's going to cause you death. Okay. In fact, in some settings, like the palliative care settings, it is actually given to extend life. As we know, it's not only for symptom control, it can extend people's life by weeks, months, some people years. So the aim, the intention is never obviously to cause death. Now, like I said, no treatment is without risk. And the main thing is that there's regular and careful monitoring by doctors while you're on treatment to help to mitigate against this risk, but nothing is risk-free. So on the whole, on a balance, it's not strictly true that chemotherapy will kill, because you could argue surgery. People go for surgery and die. Is it the surgery that killed? We don't know. So, it is to be taken in context, basically. Okay? Next one, please. If you have a family history of cancer, you too will get it. Yes? Red, if you think that's true, red.
No, yellow.
Oh, sorry. Somebody's awake.
Yellow for true.
Yellow for true, and pink for not true. Yellow for true. So if you have a family history of cancer, you will get it to put your yellow card on. Okay?
Hereditary cancer.
Did you want to say something on that?
Yeah.
I was listening to Charmaine earlier, and when she was talking about breast cancer, she did mention that it's hereditary. So, in that regard, I think there's a greater chance of you getting it. But then again, I think it depends on the type of cancer.
That's correct.
That's good.
That's correct. Well done.
Anybody else?
Well done, Conventonian.
Nadia. The yellow card, yeah.
Tibo, you'll have to move faster, mate.
Family history, what it is your probability goes up. And when you're aware that you have it in your family, you have to be, more conscious how you maintain your health, getting checks, and doing the research. So, to some extent, it's both, but I think for this exercise, I would say it is true that if you have a family history of cancer, you get it too.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about definite here. We're saying you will get it. We're not saying you might get it. So think about it. We're saying you will get it. Okay. Anybody else before somebody there? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely sure that is correct.
Okay.
Because I did not mean that when you go to the hospital, when they're doing some investigations, they ask you, have you got any history of cancer in your family?
Okay.
If it wasn't like that, then you wouldn't get it. And having an experience from my dad, who was a chain smoker, he died of cancer. And trust me, I'm worried.
Yeah, so you should be.
I need to be worried.
We should all be worried about
But
that.
fortunately, none of us in the family does smoke. So that could be a way out. I'm watching anyway.
Good. And I hope you stay healthy.
Right, hello everyone.
Hello.
Sorry I was late. I came late anyway. But not in all cases for this question.
That's right.
Yeah, some of us, especially Africa, not many here that know our family life history in the first place. I don't know back in the days. I don't know how, in fact, my mom died, in fact. So when they sometimes ask questions like that, do you have this in your family history or whatever? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, it could be cancer, it could be anything. Yeah. You see, so this question, to be honest, is like 50-50 to me. Yeah, you can't say definite, not in all cases.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. If we can, somebody.
Just quickly. May I just say, it's not just Africans who may not know their family history. People from all over the world might not know.
Sure.
It very much depends on whether you have been told by your parents. Obviously, you and I are both clinicians, as is Isatta, and we come across many, many people that don't know a thing about what their family history might have been. So, less of the African.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think on that note, I might slightly differ or disagree in that. I mean, the African community, I mean, it's all about having the evidence. We do not keep evidence, unlike in the Western world where people keep evidence. I mean, that's just my view. I mean, sometimes we don't have the evidence, as you say. Basically, if you move on to the next one, please. The fact is, a family history of cancer is not a guaranteed reason you will get it. Okay? It does increase your risk, definitely, of developing the disease, but it's not a complete prediction. Okay? You have seen in some families where you might think, there is a history of breast cancer. Maybe they had 4 daughters. 3 or 2 got the illness and the other 2 didn't. Okay? So sometimes it's not a full gun. Now, it is very important on that note to know our family history. Apart from the fact where we can say, my brother feel bad, he died, or they shoot me sister with which gun, or somebody put sick family granny because they're not in Lekam. These are the things that stop us from getting the evidence that we need, because we do not ask further questions. We believe in what I've just said. Now, if you have inherited genes that put you at high risk, it is important that you go to your GP, because then he can monitor you and put in a risk management strategy. So sometimes you can be on medication, you can be on screening, you can have recommended prophylactic surgery. So these are things that you can still do something about. But on the other hand, and it's important to say, just because you don't have a family history of cancer does not mean you won't get it either. Okay? Remember, it can be prevented by lifestyle changes. So maintaining a healthy diet and all that sort of thing. It is something that we need to look at, especially in our community. Okay, just to end on the last slide, this would be my take-home message, and really self-explanatory. It says, seek facts only. Now, use evidence to distinguish fact from fiction. Use reputable sites like national charity sites, Macmillan, Cancer Research, and other, site-specific national charities. Now, do not ignore symptoms. We can't reiterate that more. Seek medical review attention. Now, that bit about supporting friends and family members that have cancer is very, very important, especially in our community. We just had Mr. Weber said people were going around saying that, he's got, erectile dysfunction. That is not how you support friends and family. If anyone is unfortunate enough to be diagnosed with cancer, it is important that we help them. It is an isolating and stressful experience. Please don't ostracize them further. This makes dealing with the disease even worse, okay? Now, if you're unfortunate to be diagnosed with cancer, there are lots of support. Unfortunately, the statistics stands right now that 1 in 2 people will get cancer. And if you're that 1 in 2 person, please know that you are not alone and that support is available, whether it's physically, emotionally, financially. Speak to your clinical nurse specialist. Now, stay informed. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is life, literally, in this case. So, thank you for listening and thank you for your participation.
Just a quick question. My question would be to you, we've not seen it much within the African community, but if you could we could all recall a famous actress, Angelina Jolie, with finding out about the history of her mother, decided to remove both breasts. And do you think, and that's the question as well.
I was just going to say, Shabir is the best person to answer. That's
right. Okay.
Actually.
I guess I should have got that one in earlier. But my question would be, do you think within the Afro-Caribbean community, one, after knowing their family history, is it sensible to make such decisions? I'm sure.
Personal choice.
Okay, so if someone has got the genes for family history in BRCA1, BRCA2, and we're learning there many more through research. So if they, and I've dealt with patients who have had the gene, the choice is for the ladies if they know they've got the gene, so someone in their family's had it, or a lot of their families have had it, they've been tested, so they have to be tested to find out if they have this gene. If they have this gene, there are questions that they have to think about. Number one, yes, you can do preventative surgery, where you, like Angela Jolie, you have your breasts off, and you can have your womb out and your ovaries. However, if you're 20-something, you want children, and you might want to breastfeed. So they might say, I'll come back to you, and they have, when I've had my kids and when I've breastfed, okay? If someone has had their children, then it's sometimes easier for them to do that. I have patients, and I've had a family of girls. The eldest sister had breast cancer. The two others didn't go and get tested. Their mother had breast cancer, and their grandmother had breast cancer. And yes, they were white. They were not African. So, the eldest sister then, 7 years later, got breast cancer again. The two younger sisters went, maybe I'll go and get tested now. They went and got tested. They all had the gene. One waited until she had 2 children before she went and did her preventative surgery, and then the youngest one went straight away. So it is personal choice. I've also had families where 2 sisters, one had her preventative surgery, the other one has buried her sand, hoping it will never happen to her. It is personal choice. And as I said, and as Marina has said, it is a small proportion of the cancers in breast, but if you're in there, we have strategies to keep an eye on you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, after a long while doing MC in my life, you've been one of the best audience. Put your hands together for yourselves. Is that the way you clap for yourselves? That's right. I've been advised when we were on break, after Mr. Winston Weber spoke, say, if you don't want people to know that you are Okobo, don't look for a woman. Just keep away. No one would say anything, so I'm keeping away this time. The next speaker is someone who is writing a first book which explores the latest science behind food that optimize health and illustrates them with some of her favorite recipes. This lady, as a breast cancer patient and survivor, she does understand how patients might want to change their diet and lifestyle post-diagnosis. She is a consultant.
When people have any type of cancer, but in this particular case, breast cancer. So I started working in research and then went on to do a master's in nutritional medicine. After that time, I was working with cancer patients. I was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 29. And so I had the whole 360 experience of being kind of the medical person, the family, the carer, and also being the patient. So it's given me a real 360 approach to how I work with cancer patients and also in research. At the moment, I'm putting together a PhD proposal to look at how lifestyle, particularly stress and nutrition, all work together with our estrogen cycle to affect breast cancer. I'm from a family where we don't have the BRCA1 or 2 genes or any of the other common genes that Charmaine talked about, but we definitely have a genetic link because 13 people in my family had breast cancer. I've had breast cancer twice already, and I'm still here, and I'm not planning to go anywhere. The world is stuck with me. Until I kind of publish this research, I'm just going to keep going.
Well done.
I'm very passionate about, nutrition, because I've worked in this field for over 20 years, and also, how do we help people from a practical perspective? What do we need to eat? How do we cook? And the advice that's given, sadly, is at the moment in the UK is very based towards the Caucasian populations and not our populations. We have very different food, we have very different cultural things, our cultural events are all about food, so it just doesn't really look at it. So I'm really working with a lot of BAME cancer support groups to see how do we make the evidence and the advice given relevant to our communities, because for me that's super important. Next slide, please. So I don't know how much of this has been covered earlier, but I'm just going to quickly whiz through some of it. But what is cancer? Cancer is essentially uncontrolled cell growth. It's not one disease, it's over 200 different sort of diseases. And we can do things, I think as some of the other speakers have said, to change our risk. So things that we can do to help reduce our risk include exercise. I've just been at a conference all day looking at exercise and cancer prevention again and reoccurrence, which has been fascinating. We can also look at our diet. Diets which are poor or high in saturated fat and sugar often are linked towards having higher risk for cancer. Sun exposure, not so much of a problem for us, but unfortunately people of colour do get skin cancer, and it's actually growing at the moment. We've just gone to the point where Cancer Research UK have actually done a campaign specifically for black people because the rate of skin cancer is actually increasing. Obesity and weight. We all start to understand now that being overweight can increase the risk of some cancers. We know it increases the risk of cardiovascular disease and diabetes, but also for cancer, so something that we can be responsible for. Drinking alcohol. Sadly, even drinking a little bit of alcohol can increase our risk, but obviously life is all about balance. And smoking. It's not just lung cancer increases, but there are other cancers too. Things we can't change, which can affect our risk of cancer. Our age. Sadly, we're not Benjamin Button, we don't know how to become younger, but that's it. As you get older, your risk of cancer increases. Gender. Obviously, as we talked about breast cancer, you're more likely to have it if you're a woman. And there's prostate cancer, more likely to have it a man, because we don't have prostates as women. Viruses and bacteria, I know we touched on that earlier. Some viruses and bacteria like the HPV can increase things like cervical cancer. And family history, there's not much we can do about it. Our parents are already there, our families are there. So that's what's there. Next slide. So cancer nutrition. There's been loads of research now, because 20 years ago people thought it doesn't matter what you eat, it doesn't really affect your risk of cancer. But now we're really starting to understand that there is a real correlation between what we eat and our cancer risk. So the World Health Organization thinks from the research that about a third of all cancers have some element of lifestyle risk. So for example, we talked about having a poor diet, increasing very high in sugar, having really refined processed food, and that's partly because it might change our glucose metabolism. Also, some of these poor diets might have low fibre intake, so if we're not eating a lot of fruit and vegetables, then we're not getting enough fibre. We think that's because of our beneficial bacteria in our gut are not able to work properly. Consumption of red wheat, we know that increases the risk of colon cancer, and imbalance of omega-3 and omega-6 fats. This means that when you look back into the ancient times, we used to have more omega-3 fats, which are really beneficial, other than omega-6. Omega-6 fats, a lot of it's from processed plant foods, so margarine would be one, some of the oils that we use, things like that. But what decreases risk? So most of the cancer preventative diets are those based on a Mediterranean or Japanese diet, and that's only because the studies are done on those. But most traditional diets in most countries are actually cancer preventative, because if you look at any kind of Protestant diet, for example, which is really, I can't think of another word to use, but it's high in vegetables, it's high in beans, it's high in kind of fruits. So all those diets, all our traditional diets, whichever culture or country you're from, are pretty protective. It's about having diets which are not high in fat, are not high in sugar, not high in processed food. When we're eating more of those unprocessed whole foods, we have a better balance of these omega-3 and omega-6 fats. There's a high level of fibre when we're having lots of fruit and vegetables. Olive oil is really protective, and wine, again, even though acid alcohol doesn't protect, sometimes wine can protect. Cruciferous vegetables, those are all the things like broccoli and cauliflower and all those slightly bitter vegetables, hugely protective against cancer. Eating fish is a really good source of lean protein, but also these really beneficial omega-3 fats like salmon, because it reduces inflammation, and anything we can do to reduce inflammation will help reduce our risk of cancer. And sometimes having unprocessed soy foods, so certainly if you're having things like edamame and miso and stuff like that, that can protect against cancer. So what is the Mediterranean diet? And it's only called the Mediterranean, not because you're eating like that, but it's just really the basis of this type of diet. If you look at the bottom, it's actually not food. It's really about family time with your family and friends and your social life. So social health, we know, is a huge part of our overall health. By social health, I mean, like, what is our family network like? What is the support system like? How much time are we spending with people? Because loneliness is a huge, huge risk for lots of diseases. So really this, you'll see, for me, can we go to the next slide? Sorry, I didn't tell you that, and I just started talking. I'm sorry. There you go, no one said anything. So as you see at the bottom, it's about people playing, enjoying time together, they're dancing, they're walking, they're just doing all sorts of things. And then the next level, so the Mediterranean diet isn't just about food, it's about a lifestyle. So actually it should be called the Mediterranean lifestyle. At the bottom you'll see all those beautifully coloured fruits and vegetables, all sorts of things, even the herbs as well, the spices, because all of our food includes herbs and spices. All of these things are massively anti-inflammatory, super protective of cancer. And there's whole grains. The next one is seafood and fish. Again, it's something that's hugely protective. And then we have got allowed, in small amounts, the meat, the eggs, the cheese, the dairy, and sweets and stuff. It's just having things in proportion, having smaller amounts of these things. So that's kind of where the Mediterranean lifestyle comes from. Next slide, please. So, how do we eat then to help prevent cancer? One is, obviously, we want to look at preventing cancer before you had it, and the second thing is obviously preventing if you've had reoccurrence. So for me, I'm looking at preventing reoccurrence, but it's pretty much the same thing for everyone. So eat the rainbow. Like, really eat a diet rich in a variety of different fruits and vegetables and plant-based foods. For me, I think about the colours of a rainbow, and I try to eat one thing for each colour of the rainbow every day, which means you're having 7 fruits and vegetables, which is awesome, which is going to be good for overall health. Eating 2 portions of oily fish, as we've talked about, things like oily fish, which are salmon, mackerel, herring, trout, all those things, they're all anti-inflammatory and they help reduce your risk not only of cancer but also of heart disease and diabetes. Avoid red and processed meat. I know it's difficult, but we know particularly processed meat, which some people may or may not eat, but they can have anything with nitrates in or barbecued food, which has got those black marks. We know that that's a carcinogen, which means it increases the risk of cancer occurring. The one that we're then talking about, vitamin D supplement. Now, living in this country, I mean, people of colour, we are pretty much deficient most of the year round, but particularly in this winter season of October to April. We know from so much research that being vitamin D deficient makes us way more prone to not just cancer, but also diabetes, depression, cardiovascular disease, all sorts of things. So my recommendation with this is definitely from October to April, take a supplement. If you're covering up and not going in the sun without sunscreen for 15 to 20 minutes a day from April to October, then also take a supplement. There's a really good brand called Better You, just to spray in your mouth, so you don't even have to swallow a tablet, because I know some people don't like that. So definitely, please, if they take one takeaway, vitamin D supplement. So important for people of colour. I take one every day. Improving our gut health. we are starting to understand that our gut is full of really amazing beneficial bacteria and fungi and all sorts of fantastic things. And these bacteria actually metabolize some of our foods and make some of the beneficial things that we need. So if we can improve our gut health by eating lots more fruits and vegetables and fermented foods and having probiotic foods like live yogurt and things like that, then it'll make a huge difference to our gut health. Limiting alcohol, we've talked about this. And just looking at like free and refined sugar intake. By that I mean the sugar that you add to your food, and also if you're buying ready-made food, often it has high amounts of sugar in it to help stop it going off. And then try and eat unprocessed soy products. So edamame is a great, things like that, eating miso, all sorts of it. It may not be on a traditional diet, but throw in these frozen edamame beans into any curry or whatever you're making. So a little bit about micronutrients. The colours of all the fruits and vegetables, they kind of indicate that we're getting lots of nutrients which are not fats and carbohydrates and protein, but they're all the things that help protect us from all diseases. There's a whole lot of science I can go into, but I'm not going to go into it, but I'm just going to remind you again, eat the rainbow, because then we'll get all these other nutrients that help support our immune system. I know a lot of us have talked about immune system. If we eat more of these things, we are more resilient, because I know that's a word that came out earlier, and by being more resilient, we're able to fight off any treatment, but also any infections. And in this instance, let's say a coronavirus, we can improve our immune system by having high levels of fruits and vegetables, and things like vitamin D and vitamin C, which is obviously high in fruits and vegetables. Next slide, please. Oh, can we go to the next one? Sorry. Is there one more? Or is that the last one? No, there's one more. So the gut microbiome. We've just talked a little bit about this. This is really a key area of where we're looking at research now with cancer and nutrition. We know that the microbiome is far, far, far populous than our own body cells. And we know that if we have our gut is not working very well, and we have a lack of diversity in the bacteria, there are lots of things in our bodies which aren't working very well. We know for us that the gut microbiome is linked to immune system. 70% of our immune molecules are actually in our gut, so if we don't have a good gut and don't have happy bacteria, then we will often have problems with our immune system. It's not just cancer, it's also like type 2 diabetes, we might have irritable bowel syndrome, cardiovascular disease, allergies, also depression, because a lot of our serotonin, which is our happy hormone, is 90% is actually produced in our gut. So eating lots more fruits and vegetables and fibre and whole grains and nuts and seeds will make a huge difference, hopefully to your mood as well. There's a really amazing study about the Mediterranean style of diet that was done in Australia a couple of years ago with a professor that I'm working with, and she found that by eating this Mediterranean style diet, mostly fruits and vegetables, plant-based foods, whole grains, which is actually cheaper than a normal diet, it can reduce your symptoms of depression by up to 30 to 40%. So it's not just your physical health that will make a difference, but also there's a bit of background, your mental health too. I've just got one more slide. Sorry, I don't know if there's something happening that I don't know what to do. Okay. Is it? But I'm just going to crack on. So this is my healthy plate guide. So rather than maybe what the NHS plate guide is, in this particular plate, which is what my recommendation is, based on all evidence science, and the same with Penny Braun Centre, which supports cancer, and lots of other organisations. Half the plate is vegetables, so whatever that might be, it's non-starchy vegetables. So not your potatoes or your yams and things like that. Hello, it's now still... Yeah, much better. But eat vegetables, and you can see all the different colours. The 1/4 of this is proteins. So this is what would be your fish, your meat, your chicken, your eggs, your beans, things like that. And then only 1/4 of it's your carbohydrates. So you're looking at your rice, your potatoes, your yams, your bread, all those things. But in the middle, you've got your healthy fats. So that's your nuts, your seeds, olive oil, avocado, things like that. But we don't include palm or coconut oil, because actually they're not as beneficial for us. The other thing I'd add to the healthy plate, which isn't in this particular one, is like herbs, spices. Herbs and spices, add so much flavour to our food, but they also are really potent anti-inflammatory molecules, and they fight lots of infection disease. So let's just kind of add those things in. So I don't have anything else to say, and I'm conscious that can we have a couple of questions? Do we have Are we shouting or are we having a mic?
Yeah, we're just changing the batteries to that other mic.
Do you want to shout, lovely lady?
We don't mind running off with the mic.
Oh, you want to run?
Yeah.
Good exercise.
Hi again.
Hi.
You just talk about the fruits and veggies. It's good for our bodies and everything. But my problem with fruits and veggies, take for example, in some other places like the Caribbean, in Africa, we have seasons.
Yeah.
That oranges, you will have it like this season, and then you won't see them. The mango time will come, cucumber time will come. But here we have them every blessed day.
I know.
And what they put in them to make them big and, it scares me, to be honest. Yeah, because it's good for our body, but looking at them, especially if you go to the market when they put them in those bowls for 1 pound, you see how big they are. Every blessed day they have grapes. Every blessed day they have bananas. Yes, it's not organic for us, to be honest. I don't know if you have anything to say about that.
I have so much to say. If you follow me on social media, do you mind if we put back on the first slide? And I think that's a fantastic question. I 100% agree. Seasonal eating is where it should be at. And for me, living in this country, we don't get the same foods that we get from home. Like, my parents grew up in Africa, and they're always complaining about these things. And when they're coming back, they're always bringing these things back in their suitcase. Not legally. Just the first slide, if that's okay. But you're right. There's loads of studies to show that seasonal fruits and vegetables are much higher in nutrients. So, unfortunately, we do live here, and we don't. So what we do need to look is there's loads of websites, including the BBC, which has lists of what things are seasonal at this time of year. So at this time of year, March, it's pretty poor because it's all the root vegetables. There is things like cauliflower, broccoli, and things like that. And the last of the citrus fruits are in season. But you're right, it's not as nutrient dense. And I think that's where, as humans living in the UK, we need to get more in touch with the environment and nature and really understand what's in season, because those things are much, much, much higher in nutrients. And you're absolutely right. I think it's a difficult one, because what do we do to navigate that? So I think you always have to make a choice to have as much diverse a range of fruits and vegetables as possible. It's harder when we live in the UK when there's less stuff available, but so I guess some things are going to be shipped, but look at what's in season. Even if it's in season elsewhere and shipped, it's going to be high in nutrients than if it wasn't in season in that country where it was grown. So I hope that helps you a little bit.
So,
yeah. Okay, one last question. There's a lady over there. And then I'm going to go. Yeah.
My question is actually very linked to her question as well. So we know that perhaps vegetables and fruits are seasonal, but what about meat? I'm not quite sure if meat is seasonal, but we do know that antibiotics and certain things are used in animals. It's very important to perhaps learn what we should be eating to have a healthy diet. But what about I think what I would recommend is more research going into animal farming and the processes being used so we can actually know what we're eating. Because I could eat something and think, oh, I'm getting protein.
Yeah.
It could be packed with antibiotics.
And again, you literally both asked me questions which are things I'm really passionate about. I'm really passionate about farming and regenerative farming and things that are good for the environment. I think in this country we've got too much poor quality meat that is full of antibiotics and also pesticides, because the animals have been eating, whatever. So for me, I would say better quality, but less meat. So look at where you're buying it from. So organic's always great because that makes a difference, but I always not just look at organic, I look at free range, I look at grass-fed, I look at what it's been doing. In the winter, I personally eat a lot of game, but I also get culturally, not everyone eats that. I have this funny hybrid, British, Indian, African, diet because of where my parents are from. So I think it's about us researching and reading more and understanding more. So for me, game in the winter is brilliant because it's in season, they're already culling it, it's very lean, it's running around, it's always wild pretty much. Fish, looking into when you're buying different types of fish, when it's in season, when it's not. I often buy a whole organic chicken and I'll roast that and use the meat for the rest of the week because it's actually cheaper and much higher quality. I know it's got many pesticides and all those kind of things. So I think it's again about maybe we don't need to eat meat with as much meat. Maybe we just need to again like focus on eating more of those fruits and vegetables, and then eating a little bit of good quality meat, or fish, or using protein like eggs or cheese or dairy, but again looking for higher quality. Does that help to answer your question? Cool. If you are interested on social media, I'm on at the Urban Kitchen on Instagram, and I talk about this stuff all the time. So please just like get in touch if you've got any more questions. And a huge thank you to Isatta. I think my time is up. Sorry. Thank you. Just one quick question. Oh, and it's not even on.
It's on.
Is it possible you could shed some light on the barbecue food? Because I noticed that when you said about barbecue food, the audience reacted.
Yeah, so I don't mean this kind of jerk, it's the one with the black marks. So when you do it on coals, the black marks is basically causing nitrates, which are carcinogens, which means it causes cancer in your body. So anything that's had like that charred grill black mark, not just like cooking in, like, I'm sure this is to the oven, right? Because it's winter. But you know, that kind of those black marks, and that we need to be careful because there's lots of science to show. Again, in the summer, having it a couple of times over the summer is fine. But if you're having it day in, day out and barbecuing all your food outside, which if you look at a lot of Americans, they have that kind of grill going all the time, and we don't do that in this country. Partly because it's cold and rainy, and it's not so it's a cultural thing. But you know, we have to be careful of those black marks. That's what it is. It's about those because that's when you know the nitrates are there, and that is a carcinogen. Yeah, does that help, Doctor?
Thank you so much, Dora. We could keep you here for
All right. Thank you very much. A round of applause one more time, ladies and gentlemen. A lady with admirable persona, both professionally and personally. A graduate from the University of Southampton. Achieved a degree in adult nursing. Definitely, she worked for the oncology department as a nurse for many years at the Royal Medicine Hospital. She's been working in the palliative care and serves as the deputy head of services for community specialist palliative care services at a local hospice in London. Ladies and gentlemen, outside of her professionalism, she is an immensely smart, beautiful, intelligent, honest, a great MC, a socialite, very charismatic. Ladies and gentlemen, definitely she has worked tirelessly in driving the health and cancer-related stuff to a great level. She hosts a show on the social media via Diaspora Voices, and she is the CEO of the Health Show Partnership Program. Ladies and gentlemen, the host of this show in doing her keynote address, Isatta Sisay-Jalloh.
Thank you so much, everyone. Before I start, I just want to say, I'm just setting the scene here. So when I finish, please don't leave. We've spoken a lot about treatment. We've had conflicting information, if you choose to say that. We have our own perceptions. So actually, after my talk, we're going to have a doctor in pharmacy who's going to talk to us about cancer treatment. So it's very important you stay, please, I'm begging you. We're running this time because unfortunately, I have to tell some of you off, you were running very late. That's why. But the sooner, the better. But still, I appreciate you coming. Thank you. And leaders in our community to talk to us about our faith and science. And after that, last but not the least, we also have another permanent somebody in our community who is going to talk to us about our traditions and culture. So there was a lot of thought put into how I set the program and why the talks are coming as they are or flowing as they are. So it's very important. Every talk is important. It's as important as the other one. So please bear with us. I'm sure you're going to leave here full of knowledge and positive thinking. So thank you very much for that. And I'm going to try and not talk much.
That's a test.
So again, I just want to thank you for all the donations, because buying the t-shirts is part of the donation. If you've put something in the envelope, thank you for that. On the envelope, you've got the bank details. Yes, the health show is moving on. We've now got our own bank details. You can take that envelope with you if you don't have anything today. You can make a one-off payment. You can do a standing order. You can do a bank transfer. Do anything that you can to help this great cause. Because as I speak to you, you would kind of see it all unfold. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the Parents Teacher Association of the City of London Academy, because this is a donation from them. And yes, where we come from, especially in Africa, we use our political affluences to do a lot of not so positive things. But in the Western world, what they've taught us is to use our affiliation to do positive things. So as the chair of the Parents Teachers Association in this school, I have this for free. If not, it costs £2,000 to hire this venue. So I want to thank them for that. I also want to thank all our partners. Of course, Sierra Gem Media, my brother T-Boy, who I fight with all the time. Diaspora Voices, Sierra Leone. Countdown, DJ Little and DJ Ishmael, again my other brothers, I fight with them all the time. Sierra Leone Cancer Charity, VG, for all your support and collaboration. Where's Auntie Jackie? Where is she sitting? Thank you. And last but not the least, my brother Tala. You would know why he's important in all of this. Thank you all, our volunteers, our most importantly, my husband, who is videoing me there. I need you to give this man a round of applause. Because I wake up 6 o'clock morning, I'm on social media. I go to bed 11 o'clock, I'm on social media. Babes, I'm tired, leave me alone. And then I'm constantly on the phone talking to people or doing stuff and everything. Thank you so much for being patient. Thank you for understanding when you come home and there's no rice, you don't mind. You still cook the rice and eat. Because I've been out and about saving the world. Thank you to my family, my children and my entire family. I've got my cousins here, my nieces, my sister-in-law, and my nephews, everybody. Thank you so much for your patience and understanding. And also thank you to all our caterers who have donated. All the food today you've had is donated. Thank you so much to them. I'm sure they were tasty, very tasty. The drinks, everything was donated. So Maya Angelou once said, knowledge is power. When you know better, you can do better. So I'm hoping after today you will do better. So I give special thanks to all our speakers, the ones who've already spoken and the ones who are going to speak. My darling sister Nima will be going around and giving you just a little token of gift. Because some of you have traveled far. I've got a sister who comes all the way from Aylesbury. I've got a brother who I've just met online. We're now brothers. Dr. Amin. He's come all the way from White City. And I'm so grateful. And I've got my other big brother, Oten Kabir, who actually arrived from Freetown today. Straight from the airport, he's here. How blessed can we be? So let's value the knowledge they have to share with us. It's very important. And of course, our abled MC, who I literally got him out of a sick bed. I said, you have to come. You know, take paracetamol and come and reduce the fever. So I've been on his case. Have you taken your paracetamol? Have you taken, just to keep the fever down. Thank you so much, Charmaine. Charmaine and I, the breast cancer screening specialist nurse, we've worked for so many years, for at least 10 years, but we've never met. Very interesting. She refers patients to me. I see her name on the referral, and I don't know, I haven't seen her face. So today is the first time I've seen her face. Marina as well. Marina, well, I've known because she's from Sierra Leone. But it was quite exciting the first time I received a referral and I saw Marina Soyabonga. I'm like, yes, a Sierra Leonean. This is good. You know, so it's those little things that keep me going. I am aware of a gap in today's program, and that gap is psychosocial aspects. We've not really touched much on the impact cancer has on you psychologically, but also socially. But please be assured, there is plenty of information there and guide that can signpost you to such information. So please, I do not want to take those books back home. Please take them with you, not just for yourself, but for a friend, a family member, and so on and so forth. Take it to your workplace. They're very well researched, they're very renowned resources, so please use them. I do not want to take them home. So what is the health show about? Slide, please. So the health show was born about 2 years ago. My brother DJ Litu has been on my case for several years, going on, you must share your knowledge, you must share your knowledge. I'm like, no, I just like to be in my own little corner. I can't cope with this business. And he said, no, you have to. I have personal experiences, so I want you to help me support our community. And I'm like, fine, let's do it. So it aims at promoting health and well-being. We share knowledge amongst healthcare professionals. And we make a difference to patients across the diaspora, Sierra Leone, and beyond. And our objectives are, next slide, to assist in the treatment of and care of persons suffering from physical, mental, or any kind of illness that need some sort of rehabilitation, as well as any such illness that creates any issues or impact in your life. We also promote and protect the physical and mental health of sufferers of cancer in England and Wales and Africa through the provision of financial assistance, support, education, and practical advice. Practical advice, like my sister Marina was saying, when your friend or your relative has cancer, it is not contagious. Rather than going and spreading rumors about them, call them and say, oh, I'm coming to see you, I'll get you 6 packs of water. Oh, I'm coming to see you, I brought you some fruits. That is what's important. That's practical support. We also support with advancing education, which is why you're here today, of the general public and in all areas relating to cancer. We promote social inclusion. Social inclusion by the sense where you've had some sort of illness which has caused some sort of altered body image, psychological issues, or financial distress. We support you to get back on your feet. We promote sustainable development of the benefit of the public. By that I mean, you being here, passing on the knowledge to you, you're bound to pass it on to 1 or 2 people. So we're passing on sustainable knowledge. So that is why our values are CLICK. So if you can't remember anything, just think about CLICK, compassion in what we do, leadership in what we do, we're innovative, we collaborate, and we share knowledge. So what do we do in England and Wales? England and Wales primarily is health promotion, which is where you're here, through social media, attending and speaking at gatherings and all sorts on Facebook groups, you name it. I've got my sister there, Haja Marie. She created a group, Be Good to Thyself, and we chat, we share knowledge there, we give guidance, support, you name it. and so on and so forth. Last year was our first annual cancer conference. Today is the second one, and I must say I'm so grateful. Last year we just had about 60 people, but today I think we've had over 100. So thank you so much. We also provide outreach work, and that's where my brother Tana comes in. Outreach work and financial support. My brother and I, Tyler, and my sister Nima, we go around visiting people who suffer from cancer or other difficult illnesses, and they're struggling and they need advice and support. And we do that through home visits or just telephone support calls. We also support through financial gains. We raise funds, we render support, we signpost, and sometimes, like I said, we just need to carry a few packs of water, and that makes a lot of difference to somebody. So, in Sierra Leone, I know there's a lot of non-Sierra Leoneans here, but I am originally from Sierra Leone. I was born here, but partly raised in Sierra Leone, so I've got quite a strong tie in Sierra Leone, and I'm very passionate about health and well-being in Sierra Leone. So everything I do goes back to Sierra Leone to some extent. So please forgive me if you're not from Sierra Leone. So Sierra Leone, our focus is primarily on cancer for now, because like they say, you have to do baby steps, with the hope that early detection will save life. And through that, we've worked with the Sierra Leone Cancer Registry, which came about, or they were there, but they actually were noted or noticeable because of the Sierra Leone Cancer Charity Vigil, because they funded it so that we can collect data, because Sierra Leone didn't have any cancer data. We don't. We still don't have a proper cancer data in Sierra Leone. The data we have right now is just to do with Freetown. And how many districts do we have other than the city of Freetown? So we're still struggling. So Sierra Leone Cancer Charity Vigil has been working tirelessly to fund the data collectors to be able to do that. And they've been successful in actually getting WHO to recognize our data as substantial data. So now, 3-4 years ago, when you Google Sierra Leone and cancer, they give you the data of Guinea, or Gambia, or Liberia. But now when you Google Sierra Leone and cancer, you actually get a data that comes from Sierra Leone. And then, of course, we've got the Sierra Leone Cancer Society, which I'm a member of, and then Thinking Pink Breast Cancer Organization. Statistically, I have just, in Sierra Leone right now, we've got over 4,000 people who have been diagnosed of cancer in the last 3 to 4 years. What are we doing about it? Very little. So I'll move on statistically. So, what do I do in Sierra Leone, other than the statistics? Well, in Sierra Leone, I offer financial support. I fundraise here, and I offer financial support in various ways, as well as educational support. Excuse those gory pictures, but those are reality. So the first picture there, with the gentleman holding an envelope, that's Ishmael. Ishmael is a university student doing social work. He wants to be a social worker. But he then had a unique type of cancer we call osteosarcoma, which attacks the muscles of your body. And it was on his leg, which meant he had to have an amputation and chemotherapy. Sierra Leone does not have that facility. So through Thinking Pink, we had to fundraise for him. The government ended up helping, and that's how I got involved, because I was able to help Thinking Pink to actually write the letter. So when it was read by the board of directors in the Ministry of Health and Sanitation, they could actually see themselves in Ishmael. So they funded 50% of his treatment. His treatment cost over $20,000. He had to be flown to India, and he had to have an escort. So a family member or friend had to go with him. So we had to raise that money, The Indian government also did a lot of subsidies, which was great. He went, he had his treatment, he had chemotherapy, he had his leg amputated because for a cancer such as sarcoma, 9 out of 10 times that's what you have to do. But he's back in Freetown, he's back in university. So he's happy. And then we have the next lady there. A lot of you who are on my broadcast list would have seen this. She's called Hawa. Hawa is actually originally from Liberia. She came to Sierra Leone in search of treatment. So even though we think we don't have enough in Sierra Leone, actually other countries are also as worse as we are. So in Liberia, when she presented, that is a breast cancer. But that is when breast cancer has gone to a level where it's kind of like beyond and above. We call that a fungating breast cancer, right, Charmaine? Yeah. So that is where you hear all the stories. For, excuse me, the non-Sierra Leoneans. I sleep last night, I dreamed Mr. Mama, bet me, Bobby. And I don't give me sickness. You know. In English, that means I had a dream last night. My stepmother beat my breast and she's passed on some witchcraft. So now I've got witchcraft in my breast. And so she came because in Liberia they told her only option was mastectomy. And like Samilia said, for some people, they don't want that. Because we know how much sexuality is attached to our breast in our African community. So she came to Sierra Leone with some money. She didn't come moneyless. She came with some money, but then she ran out of money because the chemotherapy treatment per cycle is very expensive. So with my intervention and your intervention, those who donated, we were able to help her to get more treatment. And that's her there when I went in December. Look look at the size of the breast now. It's shrunk. She now has an option to still have mastectomy, but she's decided not to. She's gone back to Liberia. She's actually a counselor herself, so she's gone back to work, and she's happy, and she's grateful. And of course, during that fundraising, we had change that was left. So Felicia there, with the smiley face, she was also having treatment. She ran out of money. She had one more chemotherapy treatment. We funded her for that. And that was another success. So thank you so much for that. We are very grateful. So there we go. I come to December 2019. December 2019 in Sierra Leone was my first working holiday. Usually we go to Sierra Leone for holiday, party, do the things we're not allowed to do here, get the maids to cook for us, wash us if you like, have a driver or chauffeur that opens the car door, and so on and so forth. We live like we're Meghan and Harry when we're there. But this time I thought, let me go down to the level of the Mr. Nobodies. Let me go see what's happening there. So again, through Thinking Pink, Breast Cancer Organization, because we built a relationship, she said to me, come to the office, use it, do the assessment and everything, and do what you like. So she then called some patients, because when they did the breast cancer awareness in October, which is the Breast Cancer Awareness Month, they have on their database over 200 female between the age of 18 to 70 that have some sort of breast abnormality. The ones that Charmaine was talking about. Now, some of them might be not cancerous, but the reality is they then don't have any money for further investigations, for them to know whether they have cancer or not. So this young lady was one of those people. She doesn't have cancer. She's too young for cancer. She's only 16. Salematu. Can you imagine a 16-year-old with a breast like that? She has something we call in science breast hypertrophy. Basically, overgrowth. It's overgrowth, but you're not sure whether it's cancerous or not. I met her. She had lost weight, unhappy, sad, depressed, in pain. stopped going to school because they were laughing at her. She had come to Freetown, because she's actually not from Freetown, she's from the southern province. She had come to Freetown because they got an auntie who is a nurse, and they thought, let's come and see what she could do. Of course, she cannot afford it either. But when she heard about the Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October, she went there, and so that's how they got added to the database. So she was one of the lucky ones. She has had this issue since she was 12 years old, which is when she hit puberty. So for 4 years, she's been suffering. What happened first? They took her into what we call the Bondo Bush, FGM. They thought she has lost her virginity. She was checked all over. You've done what you're not supposed to do at your age. They thought she was pregnant. And then after that, they took her to a herbalist who did quite a lot and said, I can't do this. Whosoever did this is dead. So we can't reverse this curse. You know. So, but this auntie, because, like I said, knowledge is power, she said to them, bring her over, let's see what we can do. So that's how she ended up in Freetown. So I saw her with her consent. I was able to take pictures. Whilst I was in Sierra Leone, I went on social media. And a lot of you sitting here, and I think this is why some of you are sitting here, is because you generously donated. Across the world, people generously donated, and I raised up to £700. £700. What do I do with it? What does Saleh need? Saleh needs surgery. She needs breast reduction. That's what she needs. She couldn't afford it. She'd gone to the government hospital. They told her how much it would cost. She couldn't afford it. So through that fund, Saleh was able to have a bilateral breast reduction. Basically means both. The plan initially was for it to be done together, but one of the doctors decided they're not in the mood, so they didn't turn up. So only one surgeon was there, and it's a tricky surgery for you to do it on your own. It's hours and hours. So she had one on the 6th of January, the date on the 6th, and then I actually came back to London on the 7th, but it was great. That was successful. And so I kept her in hospital. So the money that you donated, I had to pay for her feeding in hospital. We have to pay for drugs. I had to pay for blood transfusion. You have to pay for basically everything. You have to pay for even the gloves. You have to pay for bedding. You have to pay for paper and pen, everything. You're right. So, as much as it sounds like a lot of money, we had to use it. And when we used it, we also had, when they removed some of the tissue of the breast, we had to send it for histology to test to make sure it's not cancerous. Now, is that done in Sierra Leone? No. So imagine, since the 6th of January, I only got the results back last week because it had to be flown over to somewhere. But that alone cost £100 to do. So that's how it turned out. So, but the good news is, I have the next slide. Look at Salematu. That's Salematu in the hospital. And I've got my sister here, Sister Harriet. Look at her there. So basically, Sister Harriet was going to Sierra Leone. She's been following it. She said, I'll go visit Salena Hospital. And so she went. We got her the right bras. I bought some bras here for her, the right fitting bras. And then some paracetamol and so on and so forth. And she went and offered pastoral care. So it was an amazing day. It was pleasant. Look at Salematu now at home. A happy girl. All she said to me through all her ordeal, I said to Salematu, what do you want out of this? What do you really want out of this? She said, I want social inclusion. I want to be able to go back to school. Because unfortunately, Salematu left school when this all started. Ideally, she should be in year 11. But her level at the moment is year 7. So, what have I done? I have adopted her. So I've kept her in Freetown. The school year starts in September, but in the meantime, she's all healed now. Yesterday she went for her outpatient's review. So she'll be having private tutoring till September when she can start formal schooling. So thank you so much for that. And then this Salematu brought more problems. So. Salematu then made me connect to Connaught Hospital. I spent a lot of my holiday in Connaught Hospital, and I spent it on the ward called Ward 2, where Salematu was. It's an 18-bedded ward. It's meant to be the female surgical ward, but guess what? That's where they do chemotherapy, that's where they do surgery, that's where they do palliative care. So if you're end of life, you're all mixed, job lots, you name it, you're all there. So I thought to myself, what can I do? It's okay to be helping the Salimatus here, the Hawas here, the Ishbels here. We're talking about sustainability here. What can I do that can benefit more people? So again, I applied to adopt Ward 2. So, it wasn't an easy journey because the reality is in our country, everything is political. The ruling party wanted me to register as a political member in order for me to even have an edgeway. And I was like, excuse my French, F it. I am bringing knowledge and support to you. If you think I have to put myself to a level where I shouldn't be, I am not going to. I'll walk away with my knowledge. So they had second thoughts, and I met really lovely people along the way, and they helped. This is how they give chemotherapy in Sierra Leone. For those of us who are nurses in cancer, if you do this here, you'll be struck off straight away. It's not even possible, because that's epirubicin. Now, epirubicin needs to be protected from direct sunlight. So it needs to be in a bag, a protected bag. Look at that. Look at that. That's just what's happening. That's even when you can afford the chemotherapy, yeah? Because if you can't afford it, tough. So that's the ward. That's Ward 2. That's what it looks like. The next slide, please. That's what it looks like. That is Ward 2. So do you see where people shower, the patients shower? The things we take for granted here. I know a lot of people don't have respect for NHS, but trust me, you should. You're very lucky to be here. The little things we take for granted, such as privacy and dignity, it is not on Ward 2. Not only Ward 2, but it's quite nationwide. So the curtains are there, they're not used. Can't even remember when they were washed. The windows are all broken, so mosquitoes are in, up and down. When you go and admit yourself, you have to take your own bedding. You have to take your bed sheet and your pillowcase and your pillow and your gloves and your dressings and your syringes and your needles. Everything you need, you have to take it with you. So, what do I plan on doing with Ward 2? I want to refurbish Ward 2. I want to make it fit for purpose. There's this little room. Can you go back to that slide, please? There's that little room where you've got the sink. I want to make that into a little chemo day unit.
Got it out.
Yes. Just so people who don't need to be admitted, when they go for chemotherapy, I'll put 2 chairs in there. They can sit, lounge in there, have their treatment, put lots of nice pictures and stuff, make it a bit more habitable so that they can, as we've all heard, the word cancer, being told you've got such a terrible illness or disease, it's so mind-blowing. The last thing you want is to be having treatment in such a depressing place. So that's what I'm going to do with that. So that's going to be my phase 1, with your help, of course. My phase 2 would be to do a revamp of that ward too. Do everything from scraping the wall to painting it to retiling it to fixing the bathrooms to fixing the nurses' changing room and so on and so forth, and also by doing ongoing training and education for the nurses there, and looking at different incentives. For example, maybe every 3 months you give them a bonus. That makes them stay, and it makes them take their work more seriously. So I need your financial support. I truly do. I'm begging, I'm pleading, I'm asking. You've got the envelopes. If you can't give a lump sum, I don't even want you to do a lump sum in some way. I want you to set up a standing order. Even just £5 a month, please. I'm begging you. £5 a month will make a lot of difference, you know, towards this. Because my aim is, if everything goes well, I will open up the chemo unit in line with October this year, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And if it all goes well, next year, February 2021, I'll open the Ward 2 when it's World Cancer Day in February. So as much as they don't call that ward cancer ward, it is really a cancer and palliative care ward, trust me. So apart from money, maybe money is tight for you. Everybody's circumstances is different. Help with equipment. Help with resources. If you can afford to give me gloves, please do. If you can afford to give me beddings, please do. If you can afford to give me towels, please do. Anything you can afford, please do. I'm really begging you, because it's very, very important for us to move Sierra Leone where it is at the moment. We can't just blame it on the government. We are the government. And resources, if you're able to go and do training and development, do outreach. For example, when Auntie Harriet went, she paid a visit. Please, it might be my name on it, but it's all of us. So it's very, very important. Peer support. Being able to support one another in our community is very important, both socially and professionally. So I'm really, really, really begging you. And like I said earlier on, please don't go. Wait for the rest of the talks, because they're very important. But this is why you're here today. I want to be able to give back to my community. I want to be able to give back to society. But without your help, I can't do it. I am literally broke. My bank account is less than 200. Sorry, Mr. Jalloh. Because all I do is spend. I see something, I'm like, oh, I'll contribute here, I'll contribute here, I'll contribute there. Not because I'm rich, but I'd rather give £50 that pays towards one cycle of chemotherapy than buy myself an extra pair of shoes. I don't need it. I don't need that shoes. I have shoes. I have at least 100 pairs of shoes. I don't need any more. Our wants are more than our needs. So please think about it. I'm really begging you. It makes a lot of difference. I've got 2 hands up. I'll pass that on and then I'll round up so that we can carry on.
Hello everybody. I've known Isatta since she was about yay high.
Yeah.
I'd just like to say that I'm sure, like most people in this room, sorry, my name is Fatu Gassama, if you can't see my face. Less than 2 weeks ago, we lost a very close family member to cancer, and when the young lady was talking about her breast cancer, that really moved me and touched me. I personally would like to make a donation monetarily. I'm not going to say how much it is. That will be between Isatta and myself. But I'd also like to know when your first shipment date is for equipment and things to Sierra Leone. I mean, even if it's just 10 boxes of latex gloves and some, I don't know, I'm going to go, I used to work in the NHS, I'm going to ask my friends if they have the curtains, paper curtains. Yeah. If they have any, they can donate, and I'll see if I can get back to you as soon as I can.
Thank you so much. Again, that's another thing. So in terms of helping logistically, we've got Sierra Leoneans who are shippers, who've got their own shipping companies. So if you can help me with the cost, we all know it's costly to ship. Most of these things, especially for the ward, are probably going to need to ship a container. In terms of storage, Fatu, I've got a garage. I've got a garage that I've allocated to that. My work, where I work, I've worked there for 15 years, and my CEO follows me on Twitter. And when I came back from Sierra Leone, she said to me, "What do you want me to do?" I said, "Just give me anything that you don't need." And they've already started giving it to me. So if somebody who has no connection with Sierra Leone is doing that, what about us, the Sierra Leoneans? Those of you who are doing social functions, show promoters, and so on and so forth, when you do your functions, I know sometimes the profit margin is quite minimal. Even if it's £20, make a difference. Because guess what? We're going more now to Sierra Leone for holidays. What if you go and you fall ill? It doesn't matter how much insurance you have. You need your immediate treatment will be done there before you're flown over. So if we don't have the resources and services available, you have no hope. So it's very important so thank you so much. But there is storage available. And again, if you know a shipper who would help financially, would be good. My first shipment, I aim to go before October so that I can set up the chemo unit. Like I said, I believe in crawling before I can walk. I want to do things in stages. Because when you do things in stages, you make a lot of mistakes along the way, but you have the opportunity to learn a lot along the way. So who is the next person?
Oh, okay. Hello, my name is Jacqueline John, and I'm a trustee of Sierra Leone Cancer Charity. And we've been my other trustees over there, Gina. And I just want to say to you personally, Isatta, that though we've been doing this for the past 10 years, you inspire me. And I want to tell you now, and Gina knows we've discussed this, that we are 100% behind you. Whatever part of the community that we have, if they're with us, they're with you. So we are 100% behind you in this ward, and we are definitely going to work with you to get this together. And as I said to you, my aunt who was the original founder, she found out that this ward is going on. She's going to abandon us and come to you. So I just wanted to let everyone know that we consider you, and I think I'm going to have to say this, to say, we would like you to be a trustee in Sierra Leone Cancer Charity. And we want you to consider that, because you bring the expertise, not just from a clinical point of view, but understanding our Sierra Leonean people as well, and also your ability to deal with political level, that knowledge and diplomacy, which some of, I for one, find it hard sometimes. And what you've done in those 2 or 3 weeks at home is amazing. So I'm imploring everyone here that please, what Isatta is doing is definitely all going to make such a marked improvement to poor people them. Market woman, when the person not get nothing, right? And then they go Connaught. So if we can make Connaught the center for cancer, right? Which we don't do, right? We put the registry up. Now makes WHO and the world recognize Sierra Leone. So anything now that we do with cancer, we will get the recognition from WHO. Because before that, they simply did not have any interest in us because it demonstrates that we have no idea about what type of cancers are prevalent in Sierra Leone. So now because of that, we now need to take one more step, which is now dealing with the clinical pathway, improving the care, the palliative care. And we've got Isatta here, and we've got the other lady from Sierra Leone, Sister Bonge, and all those other people. We need to support them, work as one. Right? So, Isatta, take into account our invite.
Thank you. I'm honored. Thank you. Right, we have to be quick because we have to vacate here by 8 and we still have about 3 talks to go.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Isatta, first and foremost, I want to say a big thank you to you for a tremendous job that you've done. For the last 2 years, you have made a massive difference. You're well recognized in the community now and beyond, so I want you to know that. And because of your hard work and what I've seen, on behalf of my family and myself, I'm initially donating £500.
Thank you.
Sister Isatta, my name is Ahmed Tijansi. On behalf of Sierra Leone Cultural Heritage, I will donate the toilet sink and the toilet.
Thank you. I need to go. Right, so
this is just a quick question for Jackie. Isatta mentioned about the Ward 2. And I was wondering, I know that when VG was first set up, we had a ward that was dedicated to, or named after Vanna, when Antifa set it up. So I'm just wondering, is that ward still in operation?
Remember, the parties have changed since then. And so we had a promise, but it never got turned into fruition. And since then, political parties have changed. And also, there's a big difference between what we do as a layman and what Isatta can do coming from a clinical point of view. So her knowledge, I think, can push, because she can speak at an equal level with the clinicians in the Connaught Hospital. So that has made why she can move in leaps and bounds much more than us coming from a layman's point of view, where we get fobbed off by certain things. And also, the fact is that the political climate has changed from then to now. So that was mainly the reason why. Right, so as she would tell you, there's a lot she hasn't said, a lot that she hasn't said, and we don't need, but for anybody that's worked in Sierra Leone and does business in any government organization in Freetown, you know what she hasn't said. So that's the reason why it's a totally different ward, actually. Thanks.
I mean, what's changed, Haja Marie, is that to some respect, the Ministry of Health doesn't have power over the hospitals anymore. They've got a different board. And so I have it in writing that it's okay to have this ward. We've given you our blessings. So actually, on the 16th, next Sunday, I'll be flying out to Sierra Leone for 1 week. They bought my ticket. They didn't pay me per DMO. And I am going to do 1 week training. So yes, I'm very passionate about my country. In fact, to be honest, Freetown is not my priority because I didn't come from Freetown. However, if we want to influence change, we have to start from the city to some extent. So what we're doing with this training, we've actually invited medical professions from 12 districts to come to Freetown. We're paying their per diem, we're providing food, and they're going to come and listen to myself and another doctor who's coming from Wales, and a doctor who works with King's Partnership, who is there, and we are going to talk and teach and test and try and disseminate the knowledge, because when we have each representative from this district, part of the contract is they go back and disseminate that information, and so on and so forth. So this time, hearing all the different experiences I've been learning, I've been observing, I've been researching, all the stories I've been hearing from people, I've actually made sure I've got things in writing, and I've actually threatened them. If you mistake, I'm going on social media, which is exactly what I did with Saleh. Saleh had gone to them and they rejected her. When I went on social media, they went mad. Why did you have to go on social media? I said, because you weren't listening. Now you're listening. So let's get on and do some work. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello? Okay, I just want to thank you, Isatta, for the great job you've done. I'm a clinical engineer, and I was in Sierra Leone. I came here because of this issue, because from what I've seen, I was planning to set up a chemo unit. But because of your own job now, I'm going to donate 3 brand new infusion pumps, 3 brand new syringe pumps, full training, full user and technical training.
Yes! Yes! Thank you. Hello. Wahab, make sure you take the name down, please. All right, I'm not going to say much, Isatta, but I just want to say, on behalf of my late husband and myself, I am joining you in adopting Wado. Thank you so much. Any more pledges? Anyone? Ooh!
Hello, Isatta, we just really appreciate what you do. It's so important for the, for see the amount of people that we see here today, the whole of the day. Well, on behalf of my business, Bit by Bit Limited, I want to pledge £200 to us.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We'll carry on with the program. Please pledge, please continue to pledge. I know some people are shy,
Isatta, because men are part of the United Artists. I'm part of the United Artists organization in London, and we are sort of trying to raise awareness for mental health in Sierra Leone. And given all the talks I've had today, I can strongly say cancer is also an aspect of mental health. Because what's going on in cancer, sometimes if you don't get the support like what you've engineered today, can lead to mental breakdown and mental health. So if we are promoting mental awareness in Freetown, and my sister Isatta has taken this big role to push cancer forward in Sierra Leone, on behalf of the United Artists organization in Sierra Leone, we're donating £200 at the moment, and we see how things go, provided on how we get from the community, we will disperse as much as we can to cancer research in Sierra Leone.
Thank you so much. Alan, I need to give this to you.
Any more pledges? Right, that was very eloquent and very articulate from the host of the show.